Hello, I want to present to you our paper on structuring a cybersecurity curriculum for non-IT employees of micro and small enterprises. We are Jessica Peichl and me, Bernd Remmele from University of Education in Freiburg, Germany. Small and micro enterprises, MSEs, are often neglected in policies and initiatives concerning cybersecurity and data privacy. Communication strategies are targeting IT departments or IT specialists. Most MSEs have neither. Just like larger companies, MSEs have to digitalize. Thus, on the one hand, facing growing cyber risks, but on the other, with much less comprehensive and sophisticated digital security risk management. The Horizon 2020 project Geiger wants to address this problem by providing a cybersecurity monitoring solution that is manageable by usual MSEs. Manageable means here in absence of specialized IT experts or IT departments. Particularly in MSEs, cybersecurity is not only a technological question, but is highly dependent on the human factor and the interaction of both. Thus, in addition to easy-to-use software tools focusing on the monitoring of imminent cyber threats, Geiger includes a comprehensive educational approach. The Geiger educational ecosystem approaches the human factor at different levels, from regular employees with only minimal responsibility for cybersecurity to designated persons that are responsible for monitoring of cybersecurity in a company based on the Geiger software toolbox. As it makes a difference for a company whether, for example, its employees are well prepared for cyber threats, the competence level of individuals within an MSE is integrated into the data structure of Geiger. Geiger can thus recommend the competence improvements by integrated learning and training features. To define the different levels of competence in cybersecurity and to design pertinent learning materials, Geiger has elaborated a comprehensive curriculum. This curricular and instructional approach fills a gap in the European framework of policies that mainly deal with fostering cybersecurity for larger businesses. Most policies are targeting business contexts that are monitored by IT experts, thus completely inadequate for the bulk of MSCs in Europe. Geiger has to build on everyday lay cybersecurity knowledge as a basis for the development of sufficient cybersecurity behavior patterns. And it has to focus on the threat landscape essential to a specific MSE. MSE-specific training has to focus more on general routines of cybersecure behavior than on tech-savvy handling of certain cybersecurity applications. Starting from the overall threat landscape determined by ENISA, this requires to view it from the perspective of the target group. Apart from general cybersecurity knowledge and skills, the learning objectives of Geiger have to include issues that relate to the handling of the Geiger toolbox as such, though it should be as easy as possible. Further, as the Geiger toolbox and its educational ecosystem are designed for work environments that can include several persons, the learning objectives also include the issue of how relevant cybersecurity information can be communicated effectively within such a work environment of IT-lay people. Before listing single issues of competencies, the structure of a curriculum has to reflect the conditions that form the learning context. Against this background, the Geiger curriculum has been designed on the base of 3 dimensions. First, levels of competence that reflect the competence development within an MSE-specific learning environment. Second, topical pillars that reflect the Geiger-specific topical differentiations given by the learning objectives. Third, object layers that reflect specific threats as they appear from the perspective of the lay target group. The levels of competencies are conceived as cumulative. This means the knowledge and abilities of level 1 are included in level 2, and so on. Apart from the entry level 0, that means random everyday knowledge about cybersecurity, the Geiger competence matrix covers 3 non-specialist levels for conceptualizing potential trainings. On level 1, a person has acquired basic cybersecurity and data privacy literacy that are absolutely necessary for basic cybersecurity safety, particularly in a business context. On level 2, on this level, a non-ICT person can interact with the Geiger toolbox in a general manner and has acquired a broader set of MSE-specific cybersecurity skills. A person on level 3 is proficient with handling the Geiger toolbox, at least in one company, and has acquired an advanced set of MSE-specific cybersecurity skills. Finally, there is level 4. That implies a specialized IT or cybersecurity background. Training for Geiger thus mainly relates to competencies of handling and communicating Geiger. As just mentioned, the topical pillars are cybersecurity and data privacy in general, and particularly in MSE contexts. Second, knowledge about handling the Geiger toolbox. And third, communicating Geiger, particularly in MSE contexts. The object layers are based on the ENISA threat landscape, which currently consists of the 15 most imminent threats. Among others, malware, web-based attacks, phishing, DDoS, or identity theft. From an MSE's perspective, this list and the given recommendations have to be modified. Data privacy regulation content can cause existential threats for a company, as there are many overlaps with threats and, for example, their origin in the non-compliance of employees. It is reasonable to include it into the list. Further, from an educational point of view, the list as a general threat landscape has to be viewed from the perspective of a lay learner who is in an employee position. From this perspective, certain threats are of higher relevance than others. So, the landscape can further be reduced to the perspective or priorities that apply to an IT lay learner within an MSE. The closer a threat is positioned to the arrow, the more likely such persons are confronted with the threat. For example, materialized threats, that means breaches, etc., are likely to be handled by experts and are thus of minimal relevance for such persons. Threats with the same color are likely to appear as almost the same threat to a lay person. Taken together, the 3 dimensions, competence levels, topical pillars, object layers, allow defining single competencies that form the complete Geiger curriculum. In this exemplary part of the curriculum can, for example, be seen that communication-based threats, phishing, spam, and low-level identity theft are compiled, and for example, that specific competencies related to identity theft and ransomware are only specific starting from level 3. To allow for interoperability of the Geiger toolbox with the different included training features, the competencies of the full Geiger curriculum are written in form of XAPI statements. XAPI is a metadata model for tracking learning achievements of particular learners independent of learning contexts. An XAPI statement describes what certain learners have done, with which result they have interacted with a learning object. If you have any comments or questions concerning our presentation, please do not hesitate to ask.